This is a great way to increase your property values, the beauty of your kitchen in one fell swoop, and you can do it yourself. Check it out. Hey, it's Joel Walsman, CEO and Master Electrician of Jefferson Electric. We're back on the kitchen, trimming it out, and it's time for the LED under cabinet lights. I'm a big fan of the HIT lights. They're 12 volt DC under cabinet lights, and they have a good amount of light output, easy installation, reliability, as well as being self-adhesive. Let's take a look at the parts required to execute on this job. I kind of have a lot going on here, so bear with me. But what you've been looking for is the HIT lights right here. They're real low profile, kind of a gaudy look themselves. If you want to beautify that, you can put them in an aluminum extrusion with a diffuser and get a really professional finished look. But these will not be visible unless you get down on your hands and your knees. We've got the jumper cables, show you how those connect, butt splices, insulated butt splices to make my connections, a variety of hand tools that allow to cut and crimp. I've got the driver. Do not be confused, this is not a transformer. It is actually a driver. It will change my 120 volt AC down to my 12 volt DC output. And I've pre-made, what you see here is literally just a short plug that I purchased, cut the end off, and hardwired the connection. There's a little legend on front that tells you what every conductor is for. So incoming power is black to black, white to white, ground to ground, and then this red and blue is for my DC connection. My drill and drill bits, my drywall saw, I'll show you what that's for right away. So this is my power source where my under cabinet lighting is going to be plugged in. Right there. It's a little bit tight, but that's what you get. Alright, so there are two holes, mounting holes at the top of the driver, and I'm using number 2 screws because that's what I like. It's really nice to put your driver in a place that's going to be easy to find and permanently accessible. It's got to be serviceable. So we usually choose inside the sink base. As soon as I plug that in, it's live, so I'm going to leave it unplugged for now. These are my low voltage conductors. There's one set of 2 conductors, no ground on the DC side, one set of 2 conductors that goes to each segment or run of under cabinet lights. Poke these through the connector into my box. There it is. A little bit snug. I left my connector just a little bit loose, a very little bit, so I can enter my DC wire and make my connections. Time to tighten up my connector. So now I'm going to take white to white to blue, and it's 12 volt DC, so it's inconsequential. As long as you get one of each conductor in a cable to a conductor in the driver, you're going to be good. That twisted on nicely. So red to red to red. So I make sure I don't have an accidental duplicate. Meaning 2 conductors from a single cable under the same wire net. I don't want that. Now here's just a basic tip. Leave that open. Don't bother cramming all that wire in there and putting the cover on until you test it. If you've got any sense of uncertainty, you could have a bad driver, you could have a bad strip, and as soon as you go putting things together, you start taking things back apart if you're not truly ready, complete, and fully tested. Alright, let's get out of this uncomfortable position and put in the under cabinet strip itself. Alright, we're up top of deck now. I'm definitely going to put on my eye protection. See, when I'm doing heavy work where I've got cut risk, I wear gloves. When I've got the risk of getting something in my eyes, I'll wear glasses. You should too. So I got a little bit of prep work. A couple of items that you may not need to do, but I do in this situation. See, my cabinets came in at 57 inches. And I was anticipating about 55, so my wires are stubbed out too low. In addition to that, I've got cabinet skins that are going on the underside of my cabinet, so I've got to be discreet I've got to plan accordingly, and I've got to make sure that the homeowner and the general contractor have the same vision of the finished product as I do. Because the under cabinet lighting, it's a crowning touch, and it'll be scrutinized just like most of the rest of this great kitchen. One more thing. The weakest place in the entire countertop is right here and right here. This is granite, it's not likely to break on me, and I'm a guy who's dreamed my whole life of a $175 and never gotten there. So, I've got the privilege of leaning on the countertops a little bit, but just respect. The cost of replacing this starts there and it finishes there is $2,500, give or take, that you don't need to spend. Respect the top. I've got my drop cloth down. I'm gonna be bending backwards. Pick a wide stance, make sure you don't have any metal buckles, belts that are gonna scratch up the countertop. This is not the time to be wearing your tool belt and letting it clink and bang against stuff. You've got to be more surgical than that. Nice and comfy. So I'm actually gonna remove this cleat right here. I think I'm gonna have success doing that. Just do it nice and easy, nothing but 2 staples in there. Come on. Could be glued. Remember, it's gonna be covered. I still wanna be nice and easy. Oop. I wanna wear a mouth guard too. There it is. All right, it was glued on. Now that is gonna go right here. And the reason for that is because my under cabinet light is gonna run right across the inside face frame, but underneath. I don't like putting my under cabinet lights at the back because they'll illuminate the imperfections in the tile. Every little nuance bump when that light's shining straight down on that beautiful tile is going to be illuminated and it'll look imperfect regardless of how good the setters are. So I'm bringing my lighting to the front for 2 reasons. One, it's very forgiving to the tile, but 2, it's going to land in the center of my work surface, so it'll be less likely to be shaded by, you know, just all the stuff that sits on countertops, whether it's art, clocks, canisters, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to get a good finished final. All right, that's about as much surgery as I'll do on cabinets. I don't think I'll have to do any more. So now I need to get my wire worked up to where it's going to be invisible in the final product. Remember, the backsplash is tiled, so I'm going to bring my drill bit up here. I don't need to protect this underside because it's going to be covered by a skin. And then I'm going to bring this guy, trench a little path in the drywall there with my drywall saw and bring him out through that hole. So I've got a nice clean finish. Easy. I don't want to use a oscillator for this. I want something that's going to be real gentle where I can feel exactly what's taking place. There it is. I'm ready to make my connections. I'm always going to leave some extra up there. So in the final analysis, if it's like that and my connection's here on the corner, that's just about right. I might cut off 2 inches or so, but that's just about right. I can use a larger strip gauge to cut off that outer jacket, being genteel so I don't damage the inner conductors. All right, now we've got these nice insulated butt splices that are good for 16 to 22 gauge wire. And I'm going to put them right there. I'm going to use my gentle crimp. And it crimped so easily, it was kind of suspicious. Tug test reveals it's okay. Let's do that again. Slip it on there. No need to go all fancy like a heat shrink and stuff like that. These insulated butt splices will be great. Absolutely wonderful. All right, now I'm going to take this coupling. Usually buy the couplings, just cut them in half, and that way you can kind of get the length you want on them. Take my fingernails in there and just rip those two conductors apart. Separate the center membrane, strip, and then because these are stranded conductors, we give them that twist. One of the mistakes I made early on with under cabinet lighting is I didn't understand how many watts of energy my strip was using per installed foot. And I installed an undersized driver that wasn't capable of handling the load in a customer's home. And when it first turned on, it was fine. But then after about 10 minutes of having it on, thinking we're done, chatting with the customer, she's oohing and ahhing, they go blink, the whole thing blinks off and blinks back on. We're all like, oops, what was that? And then it goes blink, 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 and it starts blinking more and more. And then after about a minute, it's spending more time off than it is on. And I realized I need to shut this thing off before it causes damage to something. We'd just heat that driver up until it failed because we had so much connected wattage. And these drivers are usually rated like anywhere from, I'm going to say 10 to 100 watts. And so on that particular product, it was 1.2 watts per foot. I had about 20 feet and I had an 18 watt driver. And so it was just over the threshold. It heated up slightly and then it started to blink. It was precursory evidence of failure. And so was able, thankfully it was right there. Put your stuff under a stress test while you're present. Have the customer use it, enjoy it. Because if it's gonna fail, you want it to fail while you're still on site in the customer presence, where you can perform damage mitigation, you can take care of it on the spot, avoid a return trip, relational damage mitigation. That's what I'm talking about. Let's put our strip into that now. All right, so this is a peel and stick. I'm just gonna peel off the end for now so I can slip it into the connector. Snaps open. There are two clips right there. Take your tape, slide it in, and then those spring clips will literally make connection with the copper that you just saw. See that? Spring clips landing right on top of those copper connections. It's a tight press, everything's held in place, and that's it. You've made up your connections. Now it's time to make it beautiful, and we still have this inside corner to accommodate. Now the next secret of success is using a nice crisp cutting tool. Kitchen scissors will get the job done, and cutting the LED strip. There's a little symbol of scissors right, and there's a line that's drawn that's right in the center. Every three lights, about every 2 inches or so. Every product is a little bit different, but that is a cut mark. And the reason I've done that is because I've got an inside corner, and this product, it does 90 degrees this way, but not left and right. So I've got to put on a jumper, which is the same process we just looked at, except this time I'm not going to cut and strip the jumper. Make sure the fittings you buy are compatible with the tape. Just like any product, it goes through iterations, and you can get some older stuff that doesn't match the newer stuff. Be up a creek without a paddle. There's that. Now that I've got the adhesive torn off, I'm gonna go ahead and put that baby into place. Obviously clean, dry, dust-free surface. I'm gonna stick it on up there, and I love it. Yep. Press it down a little bit. All right, bend those. Yeah. In fact, we'll double them back this way. Get it tucked in there. Real nice and clean and tight. All right, then obviously this thing's gonna be a little saggy baggy until those skins go up, and then that's what's gonna hold up that free wiring. We've got some little straps, but I like to avoid them if I can. Putting screws into the bottom of a cabinet and have something poke through is like, it's happened before. It's not very happy. Because it's 12 volt DC, I don't need to put an end cap on this, but always, as an electrician, you always refer to the product listing and you follow the installation instructions, period. I'm sure I've screwed that up many a time in my life, but that's the concept. Always cut it as long as possible to get the best coverage. When you buy the stuff that's like pre-made lengths, it's just not much of a chance it's gonna match up well to your cabinets. So there's one. I'll let you in on a little secret. We've got what we call an under cabinet lighting tote. We've got a couple of these, and it's just full of the HIT parts. So literally, the warehouse team grabs a roll of the lighting product, puts it in the parts box, sends the tote, and we've got everything we need. So we've got extra splice kits, we've got mounting, we've got heat shrink, we've got couplings, you know, it's all right here. So that's a really, I mean, it'll cost you 150 bucks if you pay a warehouse assistant, maybe 250 to put one of these together, but what it will save in labor long term, these little packets make you money. If there's something you do frequently, set up for success. Easily repeatable routines, right? Anything that's easily repeatable, it's easy to train, it's easy to complete, it's easy to make money. So we've got to do the same thing here. Cut a little trough. I haven't seen that before. There are 2 solder points instead of cut marks where the tape has been spliced by the manufacturer, but it doesn't have cut marks anymore. I've never seen that before. See what I mean? Right there? Solder joints here and here where the tape was put together in the factory. And there's a cut mark here and here. One's too short, one's too long. I really want to put it right there, but I don't know if that's going to cause failure or not. I think I'm going to risk it. Let's just try it and see what happens. Throw that breaker, Tim. I'm not going to press it down. Just give myself a little bit more advantage. But yeah. And let's just check that. Neutral's fine. And
so you're not getting anything right there in that driver DC wise. I was wondering whether this wire got cut somewhere in the wall.
And now it's faulting or something. So let me pull that off. See what we got going. Alrighty. Turn it back on. Now that's working. I lost it. I had a nice like 13.75. Let's try that. And now I'm at okay, there's 13.58. I just wasn't getting a good connection without holding it on there firmly.
It hasn't clicked yet, has it?
No. So let's try, oops, sorry about that. Let's try one set of conductors. Without the other. Man, surely, hopefully we don't have faulted conductors inside the wall. Ugh. Let's get a little bit further.
Yes, sir. You fixed it.
Okay, so that one's good. And let's just try that one. I probably will click. Ooh, that was bossy. Did it come on?
No, it's up.
It just went.
Well, it's not connected either, right?
Yeah, it's up.
Which is probably why the transformer is trying to clear a fault, or the driver's trying to clear a fault, or whatever it's programmed to do. Okay, so you know what's happening here. First of all, I was totally wrong. The HIT lights are polarity sensitive. There's a positive and a negative, and if you look really closely and shut one eye, you can see it. That's on me. Second of all, the set of 2 conductors coming up here appears to be faulted because that's working fine. When we turn on the driver, we'd get a click, click, click. I think it's trying to, whatever it's programmed to do, clear a fault or whatever the case may be. So that comes on, but this one is not. So the thought process is potentially fish a new wire, tie onto this, pull the old one up and out, pull the new one in, tie it onto the end of the old one. However, we don't have any of that 18.2 with us. So
Nice that you haven't done the backsplash yet.
it is. I think we just need to go get some, solve the problem, make it happen. It's a time material job, you know. We're hoping to move on down the road, take care of some other things today, but we're getting a little bogged down. So what we found, the issue with the transformer, not only is the under cabinet light polarized, this conductor that goes down here has been damaged. It's pinched. It shouldn't be this tight. There's almost no pull in it, but it's moving slightly. So as a last ditch attempt, before we cut the drywall open down below the dishwasher space, in the dishwasher space, I just fish a new conductor up, which we had to go fetch. This is time and material. Then we'll see. Pull it back in the wall. Boom! It worked. I was really skeptical, guys. Just cut that. Me too. Cliff, but what? Here's the thing. What are you never not skeptical?
It's good to be skeptical.
I taught you that. All right, you make up the top, I'll make up the bottom. Let's bail and get out of here. You guys want to see this air switch on the disposal? Let me show you real quick. Check it out. There's no disposal switch on the countertop. It's literally just this. Watch this. That's all it is. It literally sends a puff of air, it injects a little puff of air through a tube to this component, the incinerator. The incinerator receives that puff of air through this tube. It's just an empty tube. And then it's plugged into the power source right there. And that's still turned off, but we can turn that on, Tim. And then this is the feed to the disposal. So the incinerator disposal is fed by the incinerator air switch module, and that literally is just actuated by the puff of air, right? It's beautiful. They're like $50.
Yes.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's inverted. Why did they do that?
Hey, no, stop. No, it's good. It's good. Skepticism works wonders.
It's good. Bring on the butt splices. I gotta get used to this tape product. Not so much. Let's try Richelieu next time. Boom, it's a wrap. Hey, check out our Amazon store if you're interested in the tools and materials we used on this job, and subscribe to Electric Pro Academy for real skills to make real money.